to Kavita. Uh, Good evening, good afternoon to all. This is Dr. Kavita. Today I am here to explain that what are the remaining chapters which are under that global fundamental changes paper 2. In the last class, we already discussed about that. In the last class, we already discussed about that. Wait. In the last class, we already discussed about that. Discussed about the block 3 climate change. In that climate change, we discussed yesterday's class the climate change causes, effects, and solutions. Next one is what is climate change, and next one is the causes of the climate change. In the causes of the climate change, again two subheadings are there. In the first one is the natural causes, and second one is the human induced causes, and third one is the effects of climate change. Effects of the climate change, the extreme weather events, the melting ice and the rising sea levels, ocean acidification and ecosystem disruptions, and the impact on human health and food security. Then coming to the fourth one, so solutions to the climate change. In that one, we are dealing about that reducing the greenhouse gas emissions, sustainable practices, policy and global agreements, individuals and community actions. And finally, what are the future outlook of the climate change? And this is the grammatical representation of the climate change. In that climate change, the most affected thing is the glaciers, the melting of the glaciers is the most important dangerous thing. It actually occupies the 47%. And again, we already discussed about that unit 9. In that one, weather and the climate, understanding the difference of the what is weather and what is the climate. In this one, what is the weather and the characteristics of the weather, examples of the weather, what is a climate, climate definitions, characteristics of the climate, and examples of the climate, and what are the key difference between the weather and the climate. How are the weather and climate connected? Why does this matter? And graphical representation, what are the differences and the similarities between the climate and weather? We discussed in yesterday's class. And today, coming to the today's class, that is nothing but that unit 10 in the block 1. In this unit 10, we are going to discuss about that. In this one, we are going to discuss about the climate change and what is the consequences of the climate change. Right? Climate change as a widespread virus and as a climate change as a widespread and severe effects on the environments, human societies, and the global economics. And these consequences can be classified. These consequences can be classified into environmental, social, and the economic impacts. So now we are discussing what are the environmental impacts, what are the social impacts, and what are the economical impacts. Then coming to the first one, that is the nothing but the environmental consequences. In the environmental consequences, first one is the rising of the global temperature. The average temperature has increased by 1.2 degrees centigrade since for the pre-industrial times. More heat waves and the droughts in some many regions due to the rising of the global temperatures. The next one is the extreme weather events. In this extreme weather events, the more frequent and abundance of the hurricane storms, wildfires, and the floods, the heavy rainfall in some areas, while other faced a prolonged droughts. Other faced that a prolonged droughts are melting ice and the rising the sea levels. Is the third point. Glaciers and the polar ice caps are melting and rising the sea level. Low-lying city, Jakarta, Nanans at the risk of flooding. Now, coastal erosion is a worsen and forcing the communities to relocate. These are the 3 points which are including in the environmental consequences. And coming to the fourth one, ocean acidification and the floral bleaching. So, the ocean acidification and the global bleaching, more CO2 in oceans, uh, it can reduce the pH levels of the ocean. Then it may be affected to the marine life. The coral leaves like as a green barrier leaf and again affecting the biodiversity. Then coming to that next one, the economic disruptions, the economic dispersions and species extinction, changing the temperatures force species to migrate for a place to extinctions and the loss of biodiversity, effect of the food chains and that ecosystems. Then coming to the second one as social consequences. In that one, that first one is that health impacts, heat-related illness, heat strokes and dehydration, and the spread of the diseases like malaria and dengue due to that warmer climates. A poor quality and respiratory diseases, asthma, and the lung infections due to that global environmental pollutions. The next one is the water supply, water scarcity, and the food insecurity. Droughts reduce the water availability for drinking and the agriculture purpose also. In changing the weather disputes, food production, causing and shortage and the higher prices in the climate refuges and the displacement, rising seas, droughts, and that extreme weather force people to relocate from one place to another place where to uh, escape from the changes. The million risks are becoming to the climate refugees by 2050. And then coming to the next one, in the economic consequences. What are the economic consequences means infrastructure damage, floods, hurricanes, and that wildfires destroys the homes and the roads and the cities. Billions spent on the disaster relief and that rebuilding that efforts. It is the most dangerous thing. Then next coming to the next one, impact on the agriculture and fisheries failures lead to the food storage and that higher cost. Will be the cost of the each and every item will be increased in warmer ocean and displace the fish population and funding the fishing industries is also a drastical effect um, of the economic status of that each and every state. Then coming to that energy demand changes. Hotter summers increase the demand for air conditioning, it's right. And starting the power grids, cold winters require the more heating and rising cost. And that is the rising of the cost where I am right now. Okay. The economic inequality, developing countries suffer more economic damage due to the favor resources for that adoption. Poor communities are hit hardest by rising the food prices and the natural disasters. Coming to the next one, future outlook, what happens if we do nothing? So, if the emissions are continued at this current rate, the global temperatures could rise by 3 to 4 by 2000. Then more frequent natural disasters and economic losses will happen. Widespread of food and water storage will be increased. Up to 1 million people may displaced due to the rising of the seas and the droughts. Okay, and coming to the next one, the conclusion while combating climate changes matters that protects the human health, biodiversity, and the economics, reduces the risk of natural disasters and the resource shortages, and creates a sustainable and a resilient future for the coming generations. Okay. This is about that melting ice and the rising sea levels. When that ice get melted, then what will happen? The sea levels can be increased, and this is the region where the total place is occupied by the ice. But due to the global warming, But due to the global warming, the temperatures are going to increasing of the temperatures. The ice going to melt, and that then what will happen? Uh, hotter waves and the hot climates can increase a spread of a water. This is the medical explanation. And how does that ocean acidification affect the coral reefs? Now, coming to that first point, when the carbon dioxide and will be increased, then what will happen? The pH levels are decreased, carbonate ions are decreased. Then what will happen as the carbonate ions are decreased, the animals like the corals and the muscles cannot be build their skeletons. As the chlorus are decreases, these elevated CO2 levels increasing in the photosynthesis of the CO2. And this is the ocean acidification. When that ocean acidification will happen, like this, the coral bleaching will happen. Then coming to the next unit, green solution, green solutions to the compact climate change. Green solutions to that compact climate change. Climate change, green solutions to the compact changes. The climatic changes. The climate changes is the climate changes is driven by the greenhouse gases emissions, deforestation, industrial pollution, unstable resources. Green solutions focus on reducing um, carbon footprints, enhancing sustainability, and restoring the ecosystem. And these solutions fall into the energy, transportation, industry, and with agriculture, and with the neutral restoration strategies. These are the about the green solution and combat climate change. Combat climate change. Once again, I want to explain this one. Coming to this green solutions and combat climate change. The climate change is driven by the greenhouse gases emissions, deforestation, that industrial pollutions, and unstable resources use. Green solutions focus on reducing the carbon footprints, enhancing the sustainability, and the restoring ecosystem. These solutions fall into the energy, transportation, industries, agriculture, and the natural restoration strategies. Then coming to that, what are the green solutions can we discuss? That is one. The first one is the renewable energy solutions, shifting from fossil fuels to renewable energy, so energy sources like as a critical for a cutting of the emission. Critical for the counting of the first one is the solar energy, photovoltaic photovoltaic panels and convert the sunlight into electricity. And then the solar farms and the rooftop solar installations reduce the reliance on the coal and the gas. Example is a Tesla solar city in India, a massive solar farms will be there. Then coming to the next one, that is the wind energy. The wind turbines generate the clean electricity without emissions. Wind turbines generates the clean electricity without emissions. Offshore wind farms have the higher efficiency and the space availability. The offshore farms have the higher efficiency and the space availability. Example is nothing but Denmark provides over a 40% of its electricity from the wind power. That is a very good thing and is a very appreciable thing. The next one is that hydropower dams and that are small dams and the small hydro stations provide the renewable electricity. Hydropower dams and that is small hydro stations provide renewable electricities. Pumped a strong hydropower stabilizes energy grids. Okay, then coming to the next renewable energy resource is that geothermal energy. Use the earth heat, use the earth heat for the production of electricity and the heating. Use that how much amount of solar energy which we can receive from the sun directly when that solar energy with the earth heat, while the earth heats by the electricity and the heating, electricity and the heating, sustainable for the regions with that volcanic activities. It is a very sustainable method in where the particular volcanic eruptions are continuously occur. Example, island runs almost entirely on geothermal and hydropower. So Iceland runs almost entirely on geothermal and that hydropower. The next one is the green hydrogen. What is green hydrogen means? Hydrogen produced from water using hydrogen produced from water using renewable electricity can be used in transportation industry and the power storage. Transportation industry and the power storage. Example, Germany, green hydrogen provides for fuel cells. So Germany is the one of the best country to use the green hydrogen. Hydrogen produced from the water using renewable electricity. Hydrogen will be produced from the water using renewable electricity can be used in the transportation industry and the power storage. Then coming to the next one, in sustainable transportation, the transport. Okay, in the transport sector is at a major contributor to the carbon emissions and the green mobility solutions aim to reduce the reliance on fossil fuels, right? On the electric vehicles. So electrical vehicles are powered by the batteries, eliminating the direct emissions, growing changing infrastructure makes them more practical. Examples are Tesla, Rivian and Embraer lead to the EV revolutions, are public transport, the high-speed rails, expanding metro systems, electrical buses, and build trains, reduce the traffic emissions. Examples, Japan's silver bullet trains run efficiently on the clean energy, a cycling and then walking infrastructure, a building and dedicated bike lanes, and the pedestrian-friendly cities. Millstone and hydrogen cylinders are over a cars. Then next one is that sustainable aviation and shipping, biofuels, and that electronic panels for the lower emission flights, the wind assisted cargos, ships, and the cleaner fuels. For maritime transport, the wind assisted cargo ships and the cleaner fuel for the maritime transport. Another one is the sustainable aviation and shipping, sustainable agriculture and food system. Agriculture contributes to methane and the nitrous oxide emissions. Green solutions focus on reducing deforestation, empowering soil health, and promoting the sustainable diets. In that one, first is the regenerative agriculture. Practices like a crop rotation, no till farming and cover cropping restore soil carbon, reduce fertilizer use and then boost the biodiversity. Precision farming use AI and IoT and sensors to optimize the water and that fertilizer uses. Example, the smart irrigation reduce the water waste and the drought prone regions. Then coming to the next one, alternative proteins and the plant-based diets. Um, so reducing the meat consumptions and lower methane emissions from the livestock. Innovations in the lab grown meat and the plant-based alternatives. Beyond that meat, it is impossible foods. Then coming to the next one, agroforestry and the vertical farming. Uh, com Combining trees and crops improves carbon sequestration. Indoor farming with that hydroponics reduces land and that water use also. Reduce that water, reduce that water use also. Wait. Nuclear energy is a sustainable renewable public speed, right? Mm, okay. Cleaner fuels for that marine transport, cycling, sustainable aviation and shipping, biofuel, and that the electric panels for the lower emission flights, the wind assisted cargo ships, and the cleaner fuels for that maritime transport, sustainable agriculture and the food systems, mm, regenerative agriculture, practices like a crop rotation, no-till farming, and cover cropping restore the soil carbon and reduces the fertilizer use and the boost the biodiversity. And precision farming uses AI and robotic sensor to optimize water and fertilizer use. Example, a smart irrigation reduces the water waste in drought-prone regions. Uh, Alternative proteins and the plant-based diet reducing meat consumption, lower methane emissions from the livestock, innovations in lab-grown meat and the plant-based alternatives. Beyond the meat and the involved agroforestry and the vertical farming, combining the trees and the crops, improves the carbon consequences, indoor farming with the hydroponics, reduces the land and then the water use. And then coming to the next one, a circulatory economy and that we are waste reduction. Waste contributes to the landfill methane emissions and air pollution. The circular economy focus on reducing and reusing and recycling materials. Waste contributes to landfill methane emissions and pollutions. The circular economy focuses on reducing, reusing, and recycling materials. Zero waste manufacturing the companies design products for the durability and the recyclability. Example, entrepreneur sustainable clothing and the repair programs. Companies and design the product for the durability and the recyclability. Pentagon and sustainable clothing and the repair programs. And the next one is the plastic. Alternatives are biodegradable materials replace a single-use plastics. Biodegradable materials replace a single-use plastics. Examples companies like Natla and create a seaweed-based packing, composting, biogas generations, organic waste is converted into a composite and biogas for the clean energy. Sweden, the 50% of food waste in biogas. Then coming to the next one, nature-based solutions. Restoring the ecosystem is one of the most effective way to combat the climate change. Reforestation and afforestation, large scale tree planting projects absorb the carbon dioxide. Example, the Great Green Wall in Africa combat the desertification, wetland and the wetland restoration. Wetlands store more carbon per hectare than the forest. Protecting wetlands prevent the biodiversity loss and the carbon release. The ocean protein in the ocean protection and the blue carbon. The ocean protection and the blue carbon, mangroves and seagrasses and the forests store a massive amount of carbon dioxide. Costa Rica and restore the The mangroves to protect its coastlines and absorb the carbon. Mangroves and seagrasses and peat forests store in the massive amounts of carbon dioxide. Example, Forest Services show that the mangroves to protect its coastal line in the absorb the carbon. And then coming to the sixth point, smart cities and the green buildings in the urban areas contribute significantly to emission. Sustainable urban planning can lower their carbon footprint. Then coming to the next one, energy efficient buildings, green roofs, smart installations, and that solar panels reduce the energy use. And the edge in the is one of the world greenest office buildings, and smart gadgets and energy resources. AI-driven that energy managed optimized electricity use and large-scale battery storage stabilizes renewable energy supply. Mm, Urban green spaces, parks, and that urban forest, cool cities, and that absorb the pollution. In Singapore's city in the Garden of Innovative in policy and that economic incentives, the government policies and the financial mechanism target a large scale climate action. Carbon pricing, emission trading, carbon and taxes, and make a polluting industries I pay for their emissions. Example that is the EUV emissions a trading system. It's also known as the ETS. Mm, Subsides like the green technologies, government fund renewable energy, and the sustainable businesses. The Inflation Reduction Act in that years promotes a green energy, not a green energy. It is actually a clean energy. That international climate agreements, the Paris Agreement aims to limit the global warming up to 15 degrees centigrades. Uh, what is this 15 degrees or 1.5 degrees centigrade? The global warming limit is that 1.5 degrees centigrade is continue to commit the nationally determined contributions, conclusions. Fighting climate change requires a mix of renewable energy, sustainable transport, green agriculture, waste reduction, ecosystem restoration, a smart urban planning, and that storage policies. Coming to the next one, the climate change in India causes impact and the solution. India is one of the most climate vulnerable countries in the world, experiencing the rising temperatures, erratic rainfall, and that extreme weather events due to this. Uh, Due to its a large population, desert and geography, and that dependence on agriculture, climate change possesses significant threats to its economy, environment, and people. And people. You need to fuel causes of a climate change in India, a greenhouse gases emissions. India is the third largest emitter of a carbon dioxide, mainly due to the coal-based power plants, the industries and the transportations. The major sources are the energy sector, 75% coal-fired power plants and that industries, agriculture, 14% methane from rice fields and the livestock. The transport is the 8%, vehicle emissions and the fossil fuel use. And the next one is that waste management, 3% landfills and the releasing that methane. So these are the greenhouse emissions which are coming from that one, deforestation and that land use changes, the rapid urbanization and infrastructure development have reduced forest and the wetlands which act as a carbon sinks, illegal logging and that mining, the road extension and worse on that impact. The reducing that urbanization and that infrastructure development have reduced the forest and the wetlands which act as a carbon sinks and illegal logging, the mining, road extension was in the temperature, industrialization, and that air pollution, in the high pollution from industries and the thermal power plants increases the carbon emissions, sulfur emissions, and nitrogen emissions are Delhi, Mumbai, Calcutta among the worst affected cities by the air pollution, industrialization and air pollution, high high pollution from the industries and the thermal power plants increase in carbon emissions, sulfur emissions, and nitrogen emissions. Delhi, Mumbai, Calcutta among the worst affected cities by the air pollution. Then coming to the next one, agricultural practices, overuse of fertilizers, release of a nitrous oxide, a potent a greenhouse gases, it potent a greenhouse gas, potent a greenhouse gas. Crop burning in Punjab and Haryana leads to the high carbon emissions. Impact of a climate change in India. So rising temperatures and the heat waves. India average temperature has risen by India India's average temperature has risen by the 0.7 degrees centigrade between 1901 to 2008, and it is projected to rise by the 4.4 degrees centigrade to 7 degrees centigrade. More frequent heat waves in Delhi, Rajasthan, Gujarat, and Maharashtra. Example, in the 2022, the heat waves or temperatures reaching 50 degrees centigrade in parts of the Rajasthan, erratic rainfall and the flooding, the uneven monsoon causes the droughts in some regions and floods in others. Example, in 2008, Kerala floods and heavy rainfall displaced 1.4 million people, and in 2020 Assam floods, over 5 million people are affected. And the glacier are melting, rising sea levels, mm, rising sea levels. Himalayan glaciers are melting faster, increasing the risk of a flash floods and the water scarcity in the North India. Rising the sea level in the Mumbai, Chennai, Kolkata, and the coastal villages in the Odisha, along with the Bengal. Example at Sundarbans is at losing land due to the rising of the water levels, and the droughts and the water scarcity, and the frequent droughts in Maharashtra, Karnataka, and Andhra Pradesh and the Rajasthan. Groundwater depletion is due to the excessive irrigation and the urban expansion. Example, Natwada, Maharashtra faces a severe water crisis almost every summer. The next one is the impact on agriculture and food security. The impact on agriculture and food security, unpredictable monsoons impact rice, wheat, and pulses production. Rising the temperatures reduce the crop yields and the increase in the pests attack. Punjab, Haryana, and India's football are struggling with the changing in the rainfall patterns, cyclones, and the extreme weathers. Whether warmer ocean temperatures have increased the cyclone intensity in the Bay of Bengal and the Arabian Sea. Example cyclone of 2020 and caused 13 billion in damage. As cyclone Turkey 2021, the strongest storm in the Arabian Sea history. In the health issues, air pollution related diseases, asthma, and lung infections are increasing, especially in Delhi and northern India. Vector-borne diseases, dengue, malaria, are spreading due to the warmer climates. Coming to the next one, government policies and initiatives. A national action plan that a climate change, and it is also called as a NAPCC, National Action Plan that climate change, launched in 2008, to tackle a climate change through the 8 missions. National Solar Mission, expanded solar energy, expanded solar energy, National Mission for an enhanced energy efficiency, reduce and industrial energy use, national mission on sustainable agriculture, improve the climate resilience in farming, national water mission, water conservation and efficiency, national mission on Himalayan ecosystem and the project glaciers and the biodiversity, national mission on green India reforestation, national mission on sustainable habit, promote the energy efficient buildings, national wind, solar, and hybrid policy encourage the renewable integrations. So when I explain this one again, once again, why? Because these are the national action plans towards the climate changes, the government policies. That's why I'm going to explain it one more time. National Action Plan on Climate Change. It's also called as the NAPCC, launched in 2008 to tackle climate change through 8 missions. In the National Solar Mission, expand solar energy, National Mission for enhanced energy efficiency, reduce the industrial energy use, National Mission on sustainable agriculture, improve climate resilience in farming, National Water Mission, water conservation and efficiency, National Mission on Himalayan ecosystem, protect the glaciers and the biodiversity, national mission on the green India, reforestation, national mission on sustainable habit, promote the energy and efficient buildings, national wind, solar, hybrid policy, encourage the renewable integrations. Okay, then coming to the next one, that is the renewable energy policies. India aims for 500 gigawatts of the renewable energy capacity by 2030. The major projects are International Solar Alliance (ISA), International Solar Alliance India, a global solar initiative, Karnool and Badla, Karnool and Badla solar parks among the world's largest solar farms. The electric vehicles and the green mobility, faster adoption and manufacturing of electrical vehicles, subsidies and e-vehicles, expanding the metro rail projects in Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, and Chennai. Reforestation and the reforestation. A Green India, a Green India mission aims to restore 5 million hectares of forest. State initiatives like a mission life, lifestyle for environment, promote eco-friendly agriculture, promotes eco-friendly water conservation programs. Jal Shakti Abhiyan focus on the rainwater harvesting and the groundwater recharge. Namami Ganga program, Namami and Ganga program, cleaning and restoring the Ganga river. Green solutions for the climate resilience in India. Green solutions for climate resilience in India. Renewable energy expansions, accelerate solar, wind, and hydro projects. Promote off-grid solar solutions for rural electrification. Sustainable agriculture, reduce crop burning and promote the organic farming, precision irrigation, and shift to the drought-resistant crop varieties. Shift to the drought crop-resistant varieties. Coming to the third one, urban climate resilience, expand green spaces and rooftop solars in cities, improve waste management, and that adopt the circular economy principles, coastal and flood protection, strengthen that, embarking at Bengal, Odisha, and Kerala, mangrove, the restoration to protect and the coastal communities, uh, protect the coastal communities, community-based adoptions, the ecotourism, a sustainable livelihood in rural India, the climate education and the awareness program for farmers and youth. They are coming to that. In conclusion, climate change is one of the biggest challenge for India. It's affecting the agriculture, water resources, health, and biodiversity. While the government uh, where well, the government has taken a significant steps in renewable energy, afforestation, pollution control, and more action is needed. Solution lay in that a mix of a clean energy transition and sustainable agriculture, smarter urban planning, a community-led conservation efforts. In conservation effect. Then coming to the next one, climate change impact in India. What that INCCA report has found. INCCA report has a found. So observe this picture carefully. This is that India. The upper side is the so the big hand side Arunachal. This is the east side. Uh, Instance kind of already we know about the areas that Arunachal Pradesh is there, that is the east, and then where the Gujarat is there, that is the west, where the Jammu Kashmir is there, that is the uh, north, and where the Tamil Nadu and Kerala are there, that are the south parts of that India. What are the light blue color lines which are here in the back map? They are going to mention that are the rivers, and what are the yellow zone, and what are the purple zone, and what are the green zones due to the climatic changes. Mm, Warmer season, average temperature rise 2.0 degree predicted. 1.0 to 4.0 degree can extreme that ranges, increased annual precipitation, a lower frequency of rainy days, increase the intensity, cyclonic disturbances, lower frequency, increased intensity, increase the risk of the strong surges, and sea level rise 1.3 million years on that average. The fresh water supply, high variability flood in water yields from 50% to increase to 40 to 50% of the reduction, or 10 to 30% increase in the risk of the floods, and increase in the risk of the drought. Then coming to the next diagrammatic representation, that is a geothermal energy. Geothermal energy is one of the most important one. Um, uh, so it is the steam, it is the hot water, this is the stream, and then the turbines and then the generator. And what is that? That is the projection well, and that is a cooling towers. While like this, the geothermal energy will be produced. These all are about so that these all are about that one. And coming to this chapter once again, this is a very interesting topic. Unit 12 causes the climatic changes in India. I want to repeat this one more time. Why? Because it is the most important one. That's why I'm going to discuss one more time. India is the greenhouse gases, greenhouse emissions. greenhouse emission. India is the third largest emitter of a carbon dioxide, mainly due to the local waste and local based power plants, industries, and the transportation. Major sources: energy sectors, coal and fired power plants, industries, agriculture, methane from rice fields and the livestock, transport, vehicle emissions, and the fossil fuel use, the waste management, landfills, and releasing the methane, deforestation and the land use changes and the rapid utilization and that infrastructure development have reduced a forest and the wetlands which act as a carbon sinks. The logging and the mining and the road expansion was the impact. Was that impact industrialization and the air pollution. High pollution from the industries and the thermal power plants increases carbon dioxide, sulfur, and the nitrogen emissions. Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata among the worst affected cities by that air pollution. That agricultural practices, overuse of fertilizers release a nitrous oxide, a potent greenhouse gas. Crop burning in Punjab and Haryana leads to the high carbon emissions. Impact of climate change in India, rising the temperatures and heat waves. India's average temperatures has it rises by 0.7 degrees centigrade between 1901 and 2018. And it is projected to rise that rised by 0.4 degrees centigrade by 2000, and then more frequent heat waves in Delhi, Rajasthan, Gujarat, and Maharashtra. Example, the 2022 heat waves saw temperatures reducing 50 degrees centigrade in the parts of Rajasthan. Erratic rainfall and that flooding, the uneven monsoon causes droughts in some regions and floods in the other examples. 2018 Kerala floods, the heavy rainfall displaced 1.4 million people. 2008 Kerala floods, the heavy rainfall displaced 1.4 million people. In 2020, the Assam floods, over 5 billion people are affected. Million, not a billion, it is a million people are affected. Glacial melting and rising the sea levels. Himalayan glaciers are melting the faster, increasing the risk of a flash floods and that water scarcity in North India. Rising sea levels. Within the Mumbai, Chennai, Calcutta, and the coastal villages in the Odisha and Bengal. And the examples at the Sundarbans, West Bengal is losing a land due to the rising of the water sea level. The next one is the droughts and the water scarcity. The frequent droughts in Maharashtra, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, and Rajasthan. In the ground depletion due to the excessive irrigation and the urban expansion. Example as a Mathura, Maharashtra faces a severe water crisis almost every summer. Impact on agriculture and food security. Urban predictable monsoon impact the rice, wheat, and pulse production, and rising the temperature and reduce the crop yield and increasing the pet attacks. Examples: Punjab, Haryana, and India's football are struggling with the change in the rainfall and patterns of cyclones. And the extreme weather, warmer ocean temperatures can increase the cyclone intensity in Bay of Bengal and Arabian Sea. Saying that an example. Example, a cyclone in 2020 caused a 13 billion in damage. A cyclone that in 2021 a strongest storm in the Arabian Sea history. Health issues, air pollution related disease, asthma, and lung infections are increasing, especially in Delhi and in northern in India. vector-borne diseases that are the dengue and malaria are spreading to the warmer climates. Um, the government policies and the incentives, a national action plan on climate change, and the national action plan on the climate change is also called as a NAPCC, National Solar Mission Expand Solar Energy National Mission for Enhanced Energy Efficiency, reduce that industrial energy use, a national mission on sustainable agriculture, improve and climate resilience in farming, national water mission, water conservation and efficiency, national mission on the Himalayan ecosystem, protect the glaciers and the biodiversity, national mission on the Green India, reforestation, national mission on the sustainable habitat, promote the energy efficient buildings, national wind solar hybrid policy for encouraging the renewable energy policies. India aims for 500 gigawatts of the renewable energy capacity by 2030. Major projects, the International Solar Alliances ISA, India, India lead global solar initiative, Karnool and Hadla solar farms among the world largest solar farms. Um, Electric vehicles and the green mobility, faster adoption and the manufacturing of electric vehicles. So faster adoption and manufacturing of the electric vehicles to subsidize the areas and expanding metro rail projects in Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, and Chennai. Afforestation and the reforestation Green Indian Mission aims to restore 5 billion hectares of forest. Green India Mission aims to restore 5 million hectares of green hectares of that forest. State incentives like the mission life lifestyle of environment promote the eco-friendly habitats, water conservation programs, Jalashakti Abhiyan, focus on rainwater harvesting and the global water recharge, Namami Ganga program, cleaning and restore the Ganga River, green solutions for climate and the resilience in India, renewable energy expansion, accelerate solar, wind, and hydro projects, promote of a grid and solar solutions for the rural electrification, sustainable agriculture, reduce crop burning, and promote organic farming and precision irrigation, shift to the drought-resistant crop varieties, urban climate resilience, expand green space, rooftop solar in cities, improve the waste management and the adopt circular economy principles. And the next one is the uh, coastal and the food protection. So not a food production, that is a flood protection. Strengthen resilience in Bengal, Odisha, and Kerala, and mangrove restoration to protect coastal communities. Community-based adoption, ecotourism, sustainable livelihoods in rural India, um, climate education and awareness program for farmers and youth. And coming to the conclusions, climate change is one of the biggest uh, challenge for India, affecting the agriculture, water resources, health, and the biodiversity. The government has taken a significant steps in the renewable energy and deforestation and pollution control. The more action is needed. A solution lay in the mix of um, a clean energy transitions, sustainable agriculture, a smarter urban planning, community-led conservation efforts. These are the diagrammatical representations of geothermal energy as well as that change the climate impact of India. And this is about this chapter. Then coming to the next one. I want to discuss this one more time. Why? Because it is also a most important one. That is the green solution to the combat climate change, renewable energy solution, shifting from soil, fossil fuel to the renewable energy sources is a critical for a cutting of the emissions. Solar energy, photovoltaic panels convert sunlight into electricity. Solar farms and that rain-proof solar installations reduce the reliance on the coal and the gas. Example as a Tesla as a solar city in India and massive solar farms. And next one is the wind energy. Wind turbines generate clean electricity without emissions. Offshore wind farms have a higher efficiency and the space availability. Example, Denmark produces over 40% of its electricity from the wind power. Next one is the hydropower. Dams and then small hydro stations provide the renewable electricity, pumped storage, hydropower stabilize the energy grids, geothermal energy uses earth heat for electricity and heating, sustainable for regions with volcanic activities. Example, island runs on almost entirely on the geothermal and the hydropower. The next one is that green hydrogen. Hydrogen produced from the water using renewable electricity can be used in the transportation industry and the power storage. Example is that the green hydrogen projects for fuel cells. Next one is the sustainable transportation. The transportation sector is a major contributor to the carbon emissions. Green mobility solutions aim to reduce the reliance of the fossil fuel in electronic vehicles powered by the batteries and eliminating the direct emissions. Growing the challenges infrastructures makes them more practical. Example, at Tesla and where lead to the LED revolutions, the public transport and the high-speed rails, expanding metro system, electric buses and bullet trains reduce the traffic emissions. Examples, Japan's I should say bullet trains run effectively on the clean energy, the cycling and the walking infrastructure, adopting a dedicated to the bike lanes and the direction-friendly cities. Example, administration and conversations are the cycling mode of the cars. Sustainable aviations and that shipping, biofuels and that electric panels for lower emission flights, wind assisted cargo ships and that cleaner fuels for that maritime transport, sustainable agriculture and the food system. The agriculture contributes to methane, CH4 and the nitrous oxide emissions. Green solutions focus on reducing the deforestation, improving soil health and promoting the sustainable diets. Regenerative agriculture practices like crop rotation, no till farming and the cover cropping restore soil carbon, reduces fertilizer use and that boost the biodiversity and precision farming uses AI and IoT sense to optimize water and fertilizer use. A smart irrigation reduces water waste in drought-prone regions, alternative proteins, and the plant-based diet. reducing meat consumptions and lower methane emissions from livestock. Mm, innovations in lab, Yoda, innovations in lab, Yoda meat and the plant-based alternatives, plant-based alternatives, uh, wait, plant-based alternatives, where I am right now. Okay. The plant-based alternatives, agroforestry and the vertical farming, combining trees and the crops into the carbon sequestration, indoor farming with the hydroponics reduces the land and water uses, reduces the land and the water uses, the circular economy, waste reduction, waste contributors to the landfill, methane emissions, and the pollutions. The circular economy focuses on reducing and reusing and recycling materials, zero waste manufacturing. So companies design the products for a durability and the recyclability. Example, Patagonia is a sustainable clothing and the repair programs and plastic alternatives, biodegradable materials replace a single-use plastic. Single-use plastic example companies like NAPLA and create a based packing. And the next one is the composting or biogas generation. The organic water is converted into compost or biogas for a clean energy. As Sweden converts a 50% of the flood waste into the biogas. A nature-based solution restoring the ecosystem is one of the most effective way to combat climate change. Reforestation and that afforestation, um, a large scale tree planting protects absorbing carbon dioxide. The Great Green Wall in Africa and combat desertification. A wetland and wetland restoration. Wetland store more carbon per the hectare than the forest. Protecting wetlands prevents biodiversity loss and the carbon release. In the ocean protection and the blue carbon, mangroves, sea grasses, and club forest store a massive amounts of carbon dioxide. Example, Costa Rica restores the mangrove to protect its coastal line and absorb the carbon. The smart cities and the green buildings. Urban areas contribute significantly to emissions. A sustainable urban planning can lower their carbon footprint, energy efficient buildings, green roofs, smart installations, and the solar panels reduce energy use. And the edge in the dimension is one of the world's greenest office buildings and smart grids energy storage. AI-driven energy management optimize the electricity use and large-scale battery storage stabilize the renewable energy supply. Urban green spaces, banks, and urban forests cool cities and then absorbed pollution. Example, Singapore cities in a garden initiative. The next one, and that a policy and the economic incentives, the government policies and the financial mechanisms drive at a large scale climatic action, carbon pricing and emission trading, carbon taxes make polluting industries pay for their emissions. Example, the EU Emission Trading System, ETS. The ETS is also called as an emission trading system. Subsidies for the green technology, government fund and renewable energy and sustainable businesses. The Inflation and the Reduction Act in the US promote the clean energy. Uh, International climate agreements, the Paris agreements aims to limit the global warming to 1.5 degrees centigrade. The country is committed to the nationally determined contributions. Um, so next one is that conclusion. Mm, of fighting climate change requires a mix of renewable energy, sustainable transport, green agriculture, waste reduction, ecosystem restoration, smart urban planning, and the storage policies. A climate change in India causes impact and the solutions. India is one of the most climate uh, vulnerable countries in the world, experiencing a rising temperatures, erratic rainfall, and extreme weather events due to its a large not a pollution, it is a population, diverse geography and that uh, dependence on agriculture. Climate change poses a significant threat to its economy and environment and people. This is about the unit 11. What are the units? Today we discussed each one two times. I think for each and everyone it is a very clear. Why? Because in these two chapters, renewable energy resources, sustainable transport, public transport, cycling, and sustainable agricultural food systems. And then what are the circular economy and waste reductions, and the natural nature-based solutions, nature-based solutions, smart cities, green buildings, policy and economic incentives, all the things that we discussed. These are the some very difficult, but these are the new to us. That's why each and every topic I discussed one more discussed very clearly. And in that second unit 12 also, uh, now we learn that what are the greenhouse gases emissions, how much percentage it is, how much energy sector is the 75, energy sector is the 75, transport is the 80, agriculture is the 14, waste management is the 3, deforestation and the land usage changes, industrialization and air pollution, agricultural practices, impact of climate change in India, rising temperatures, heat waves, erratic rainfall and flooding, and glacial melting and rising sea levels, droughts and that water scarcity, impact on agriculture and food security, cyclones and extreme weather, health issues, what are the government policies and what are the incentives, what are the national action plan on climate change, national solar mission, national mission for the enhanced energy frequency. Then next one is the afforestation, renewable energy policies, water conservation programs, green solution for climate resilience in India, um, conclusions, all these are the discussed in today's class. And thank you for so much, Shine. Thank you so much. Signing off, this is Dr. Kaita Yadav Panchkatla. Thank you so much.